Good afternoon, gearheads, and welcome to Speed City F1. We are live on the ground in Miami for the Miami Grand Prix. This is Jon Massengale, and I am in Miami. I am sitting in the Pirelli hospitality booth looking out on the AstroTurf that is the Miami Grand Prix paddock. And I'm joined by Jonathan Green and Bob Varsha back in the studio. Jonathan, are you as excited as I am for this?
I'm excited for you to be on a field that's seen 8 Super Bowls. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, honestly. They didn't do this the first year. Isn't
I know.
Crazy to think this
so
is
much better.
The fourth year of this.
And we're going into the next 2 centuries, right?
Yeah, Bob Varsha, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Atlanta, which, if my forecast is correct, is not what you're going to have there in Miami when this race gets going.
Well, I'm looking out the windows, and the sun is now burst out. I was talking to Jonathan before the show, and I said, "Oh, it's cloudy. It looks like it's going to rain." But now the sun is out. I think it's just the sun before the storm. Who knows, though? I'm not going to believe any weatherman.
Well, may the 4th be with you. Hopefully, we get a sunny day.
Nice, Bob. That's one of my favorites. As a giant nerd, I love the Star Wars.
This will be a day long remembered.
Yeah, they had to cancel the Academy race because of the rain, so it can come at any minute because half an hour before their race, it was perfect.
Yeah, and it was a deluge.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trying to show the race. You couldn't even see it on television. The F1 TV feed was, I mean, all you could see was a cloud of rain and fog.
Yeah, but as we saw in Saturday's sprint race, it does dry out quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
Rain. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're listening for Chris Medland's voice, he is going to be with us. He's already sent in a couple of interviews, and we have some great interviews. He got one with Tyler Epp, who's the president of the Miami Grand Prix, and Dan Towriss, who's the boss of essentially the new Cadillac GM F1 team, amongst other things. And so we've got both of those. He also caught up with Ayao Komatsu, and who knows who else he's going to catch before. But I want to start with something that you alluded to a minute ago, Jonathan, and that is the new contract with the Miami Grand Prix with Formula One. And in fact, I think I want to go ahead and play this interview with Tyler Epp because Chris goes into this new contract, and it is the length of the contract is really the most stunning thing about it. So, Casey, if you got that ready, we're going to go ahead and we'll give Casey a second to get that ready. But Tyler Epp has been with the Miami Grand Prix since it started, and he's actually been with the Miami Dolphins since long before then. But he is now the president of the Miami Grand Prix. He was, I think, the COO leading up to it. In fact, I was reading about his experience with the Miami Dolphins, and when he was assigned the Formula One event, he became the COO, and the question was, what all do you oversee? And he said, well, and he listed off virtually everything separately. And so he literally was the boss of the entire thing, and now is the president. So who knows if his workload has gone up or down. But Casey, if you're ready, we will play this interview with Tyler Epp, president of the Miami Grand Prix.
So I'm here with Tyler Epp, the president of the Miami Grand Prix. It's a big title, Tyler, and a big title for someone who's just announced a big contract extension. We're going to be here until 2041. Have you thought about standing here in the middle of Hard Rock Stadium in 2041?
Every conversation I have about this topic, everybody does the math for themselves and tries to figure out what they're going to be doing in 2041. Look, I'd be blessed to still be here in 2041 and doing exactly what I love to do. So, look, I think it's a huge vote of confidence for the team here. Look, we built this from a sports and entertainment, American sports and entertainment business that was centered around stadium sports, and all of a sudden here we are, extending our relationship into the 2040s, which is amazing to even say. But it's a testament to all the hard work of the people, our partners. And look, we really appreciate the trust of Stefano in Formula One, right? Like this is a real opportunity for us to continue to engage in and grow the sport in the United States.
I was going to say, what does it say about that growth? Because I guess you've got 3 years behind you at this point. We're on the 4th year to see how it's going, but you've committed for another 16, 17 ahead.
Yeah, look, we believe in it. I think we believe in it. Tom and Steve have given us the opportunity to do something that we think is a bit different than maybe not anywhere else in the world, but certainly differentiated to a lot of the other events that we see around the world. And look, I think for us, we do believe in this business, and we do believe in the power of the greatest drivers and the greatest teams in the world competing on the greatest race circuits. And for us, it's our opportunity to get back into the sport a little bit and say, look, we want to be a leader in making sure we understand who the U.S. fan is, giving them the experience that they want, and hopefully doing that in Miami on a year-to-year basis where they can't bear the thought of missing it.
Is it also show confidence in the growth in terms of with Austin, with Vegas, 3 races now, and you're saying long term that's not a problem?
I certainly hope so. Like I can't necessarily speak for the different markets in terms of exactly what they see. I only see the data from ours and certainly the shared data that we get from Formula One. But look, I think at the end of the day, they're very differentiated, right? The Vegas experience and what Emily and her team do there, and what what Austin does, and Bobby and Regan and the team there, like, they're very different. I think you could come to all 3 American races having a completely different experience. But I would tell you the one thing that continues to be central is the greatest drivers, greatest race teams on some of the greatest circuits in the world. And I think that's what F1 promises you as a fan, a customer, and as a promoter.
Does this deal let you do anything differently in terms of long-term planning, like investments, or is it just security at this stage?
No, I think it does a little bit. I mean, we haven't really gotten into those conversations yet, Chris. So I'd be lying to you if I said, because we got this, now X, Y, and Z happen. But look, I do think it gives you the chance to take a deep breath a little bit and say, okay, what's really right for the fan? What's really right for the customer? What's really right for our key stakeholders? That includes the teams, that includes the drivers, that includes the FIA. Like, let's make sure that we are building this in a way that's for the long term, not just to get through each race weekend.
Speaking of each race weekend, though, let's look at this one. Firstly, how do you think it's gone so far, heading into the race with huge crowds expected? And you had the added challenge of weather yesterday as well.
Yeah, we did. Look, I think we did a couple things differently this year that we've learned some things from. We traditionally have opened up Friday and had a couple bumps just because we haven't done it for a year, at this scale at least. And I think this year we opened up on Thursday and did, almost a dozen events on campus, some private, some public, and it really gave us a chance to break open, our campus a little bit. And I think that really helped us on Friday morning when we opened. Look, it was the first time that I can remember we had a significant rain event here. I know we've had some moisture, but this was a significant rain event that actually impacted what we were doing. Look, the team responded really, really well. The racetrack responded really well. Like, I know that we had some build-up and puddling as the rain was coming down, but the drainage system that Tilke helped us build worked fantastically, and I can't say enough about the team and the way they work with the FIA to make sure that we got the cars back on track and delivered what the fans wanted.
Excited for more of the same, because it's just starting to rain as we stand here right now.
It is. Look, I think we're ready for it. We've had a lot of conversations both early this morning and late last night, and trying to make sure all of our protocols were in place. The most important thing for us is making sure we think about the fans. Like, at the end of the day, the drivers, the teams, they know how to do this, and it's all the same for them. But for us, making sure that we're taking care of the fans, communicating with them what we're seeing is the most important.
Well, they're going to be dealing with some heavy rain, I think, right now, so I'll let you get out of it. Tyler, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
So I did the same thing when Tyler Epp said that he said that in the contract extension to 2041, I started calculating how old I would be, and I think everybody did that. And we've been joined by someone who can help me with that math because he has a brilliant mind. Gunther Steiner has joined us. And Gunther, how about that 2041 extension for the Miami Grand Prix?
I would say pretty cool, but also understandable, I think, because Miami brings a lot to Formula One, or has brought a lot to Formula One in the 4th year now, this year. And I think F1 in general said that we need to keep this race for the long term, because I would say they are the leader in pushing the entertainment factor on a race weekend always forward, also for everyone. And, as you mentioned, Tyler Epp and Tom Garfinkel doing a great job in keep on pushing and putting the bar higher and higher for all the other promoters. And I think F1 likes that, because you have to have somebody which helps you to promote Formula One and make it an experience for the fans which are coming here.
It's pretty amazing that you can say that they are pushing the bar with Las Vegas also on the calendar, the king of entertainment. But just being in Miami and going to events, I don't hardly ever go to events, and I went to a couple this weekend. And this city is an amazing entertainment and just a buzz. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't think nobody can teach anything to Miami here. You know how to do entertainment. And obviously the guys at Miami GP have picked up that vibe and just bring it to the racetrack. So we all can be part of it, and especially the new demographics which are coming to Formula One, which is young people, female. Everybody wants to be here.
Well, we got Bob Varsha and Jonathan Green, two voices that you know on the line. And guys, feel free to jump in and ask anything you want of Mr. Steiner. But I want to start with, what do you think about this season so far? I know that McLaren has looked really strong, but it's been crazy close and crazy competitive.
Yeah, as you say, it's crazy because everybody's so close together and you never really know what is happening. Obviously, McLaren is the favorite, but as soon as they make a little mistake, or they don't need to make even a mistake. If they don't execute to perfection, good is not good enough anymore. It needs to be perfect because otherwise there's somebody there on your tails picking it up immediately. And then we have got Super Max, which sometimes pulls something out from nowhere, so it is very interesting season, and I think it will stay interesting the whole season.
Gunther, This is Bob Varsha, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. I have a question about NASCAR. You were involved in Red Bull's first effort in America's Stock Car Series, and now they're back in as a sponsor. What are your thoughts on Red Bull going back to NASCAR?
Hi, Bob. Good to hear you. I think it's cool. I think it shows that in the end, I actually moved to the States to open up the first NASCAR team for Red Bull, but they owned the team at the time. And now there's a sponsor, but it shows that NASCAR is still important. It's still an important market for Red Bull, and it shows that it attracts big sponsors like Red Bull. And I think anybody in the mainstream business needs to be present in that in the racing in America, So I think it's a very good thing that Red Bull is back in NASCAR.
Hey, Gunther, this is Jonathan. Jonathan Green. Great to have you on the show, as always. While we've got an ex-principal on the show, I'd like to get your take on how McLaren play this going forward. It seems to be that Ferrari, Mercedes all have a number one driver, and yet obviously McLaren have got two guys pitted against each other. They've won all the races so far pretty much, but something's got to give. Do you think that Zach's approach to let him race is going to win out, or could he shoot himself in the foot?
Hi, Jonathan. First of all, I think McLaren is in a very good position because they have got two number one drivers. They're both very talented, two of the best. So to have two of them is good for a team. So I think how they play it is they let them go. Zach is a racer. They let them go as long as they don't do anything stupid. And then see at some stage if somebody else, I think the only one which could come close to them is Max Verstappen. If he comes close, they will say, okay, now we have to focus on one of the drivers so we're not losing the drivers' championship. But I think they've got some time to do that. And as much as we think they will race to the end, if needed, I think McLaren will say to the guy, which is in front at the time, that you will be the selected one this year to go for the championship. That's my opinion.
Okay. I got a follow up on that on the McLaren team. Lando Norris there's been a lot of discussion about him in his own head, basically, not sounding confident, but he's really still right in it, gained another point back yesterday. What do you think about Lando, and what would you be telling him about, self-deprecating and those type of thoughts and things that he verbalizes?
It's always very difficult, to tell somebody what to do because, it's a mind game as well, and we got all our own mind. Thanks God, we are all different, But the only thing what I would tell him to be confident, just to be relaxed about things, because he's a very talented driver, but sometimes the pressure gets to him, and that is why I think in the moment Oscar Piastri is in front of him, because he's just like he keeps cool all the time, and Lando sometimes is not, So maybe at some stage he comes to Lando, but for me, that for Oscar is this year the favorite to win the championship, because he just has got this cool factor. Makes a mistake, he's like, okay, I made a mistake, I'm not going to make it next time, While Lando is maybe reading too much into it, It's not like, just get over it and go again and do your best. But, he will mature as well, Lando. Some people takes longer time to mature. So, some people are already like this. I don't care what is happening. I just try to do the best I can, and I'm happy with that. So let's see where it goes. But it's we must also say sometimes a few things didn't go really his way, Lando's way, and but what it is, it keeps us interesting for us, because we never know what is coming next.
Yeah, that is true. Us as fans and journalists, it's exactly what we want to hear. All right, guys, we got to take a quick break from Miami here, and we'll be back right after these messages. Say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The usual suspects are on, John. Thailand's up and running.
Yeah.
2 a.m. Just
Anybody
woke
have a
up.
question for Gunther?
Let's see if they have. Kevin Kelly's on. Yeah,
Okay.
I just told the internet that, or I just told our listeners that it's starting to rain again. So keep us up to date on what you see outside.
Gunther looked at me. All we see is sunshine.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, another thing about a long contract, the longest in Formula One now for Miami, is if you need to go to the bank for money, say you want to do a major reconstruction or addition, improve the track in some way, you being a banker, John, know that you need, what have you got to secure any money we lend you? And you've got this long contract with the most popular form of motorsport in the world. And that's a good...
Bob, you're spot on. One of the first questions as a bank will ask a borrower, if it's a business, how long is your lease?
Yeah.
That's one of the first questions they ask, is if they've got 2 years left on a lease and they want to get a 5-year loan, that math doesn't add up.
Yeah, that doesn't work normally, no.
Yeah, by the way, guys, and maybe go ahead.
Stephen Ross is not short of gas and beer money, but
I was going to say, Stephen Ross, I don't think he needs a bank loan, He's all right. He can make his mortgage payments, yeah. He can make his mortgage payment.
Make his own bank.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's got one,
Hey, I don't know if Gunther's got any intel on this, but I'd be very interested because aren't Austin up for a new contract? They got that 5-year extension, and that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, this year or next.
Yeah,
I think it's
end of next year.
26.
So I would have thought Bobby will be trying to do something similar, and I don't see why Formula One wouldn't do that with all three in America.
All right, we're coming back. Here we go.
Hi, this is Karun Chandok, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back to Speed City. We are live from Miami, and we are sitting in the paddock, the unique paddock that is the Miami Grand Prix, where we're inside of the Hard Rock Stadium, looking at the AstroTurf under our feet. And I'm sitting here with Gunther Steiner, one of our favorites. You've had him on the show many times. Gunther, thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Of course, this is kind of your office. Every time I stop by the Pirelli hospitality booth, you're here ahead of me.
Thanks for having me. I last year did about 12, I did 12 races, and it became my office. I mean, I'm a good friend of Mario. It's I would say it's the least busy hospitality. We are good friends, and I always stay here. It's very safe because just hanging out there waiting for your next gig on TV is difficult. So coming in here, especially now, here it's air conditioned. I don't have to sit in the heat in the sun, and I can talk with you because I think you're doing the same. Every time I come to one of the American races and you're around, you're sitting around in my office or in Mario's office. Let it be Mario's office,
Yeah, we had Mario on the show yesterday, and yes, you like the air conditioning. We like the AC and the Wi-Fi, so it helps us out as
and
well.
Mario pays for it.
That's right, Mario's paid, but we're giving him a free plug. So
exactly, yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the weekend so far. I think maybe the most exciting thing of the weekend has got to be, in my mind, Kimi Antonelli. He put it on pole for the sprint. I know he didn't win the sprint race. What did you think of that first turn one when Oscar Piastri showed him what 3 years of experience in Formula One looks like?
Exactly, you said it right. It's experience. And Kimi he pushed me out, yeah, buddy. But you should know that is what he's going to do. That is it's normal. And as you said, for me the biggest surprise was as well Kimi Antonelli in sprint qualifying P1, in race qualifying P3, 18-year-old, pretty cool. And even if he didn't bring home the points on Saturday in the sprint race, it's fine. I mean, what he brought home is a lot of experience, and for sure he will not make that mistake anymore at the start next time he's in P1.
Did you hear what Toto Wolff said to him on team radio? He said, "Don't worry, Kimmy. It's just a mini race."
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Formula One would have appreciated him calling this sprint race a mini race, but it kind of reminded me of Gunther Steiner when you called it Formula 1.5 back in the day when we were struggling, to get it was all the top teams and all the bottom teams. But anyway, I thought that to me it showed how Toto is treating him. Is that he is treating him with kid gloves and just letting him develop basically 180 degrees on what Red Bull has done this year and in the past, where they gave Liam Lawson 2 races and said you're not good enough, you're out.
Yeah, and we have to go back. I think Kimi Antonelli is a Mercedes driver since he's 11 years old, And it's not only people say, they paid everything for him. No, they paid for him. Most of it, I don't think they paid everything for him development, but they also mentor him, And if you're mentored by the best of the best, obviously, it's like going to a good school or a bad school. It's a very good school, the Mercedes school, and everybody already in there. You know that you've got the back of the boss because he's invested. Obviously, you need to deliver because about performance. But I think Toto's investment will be paying off, and Kimi's patience as well. 18 years, it didn't have to be long patient, but the patience to develop, and it will pay off. It's. I think we had the first proof this weekend how good he actually is, So, I saw Toto briefly yesterday, and he was so happy. I haven't seen him this happy a long time because for him, just he put a lot of effort behind Kimi Antonelli, and now it seems to be working. And obviously, he can be proud of that.
Yeah, I was talking to George Kurtz. He's the CEO of CrowdStrike, and he was he really wanted to talk about the family around Kimi Antonelli, and particularly his father, and just the whole part of the way he is surrounded by people that are supporting him, and said that's really important. And he was suggesting that we get Kimmy's dad on the show too. But Jonathan Greenbaum, Varsha, what do you got for Gunther Steiner? He's probably just got a little bit more time with us.
Yeah, I'm interested to know how he enjoys doing the broadcast stuff.
No, I'm enjoying it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. As simple as this. No, no, I'm enjoying it, and I think I said it before. I went to 12 races last year, so I don't go to all of them, and I work for different TV stations, so every time is not every time, but it's always a mix of people, and I get to know a little bit what is going on beyond running a team.
I want to know who's your pick to win the race, Gunther.
Who's your pick to win the race?
Lando Norris, I think. Yeah, he's in a good position to win the race. P2 is good, and the McLaren can play it with the Red Bull strategy, I think, over undercut, so they can see that they can manage it a lot better because they've got 2 cars. And I think if everything goes to plan and Lando is in front, they will put it on Lando to win the race. So that's where I think Lando it will be.
He's going to come in here with the confidence of winning his first race ever last year. So that's got to help too.
Yeah, that's going to help too. Obviously that helps too. And winning the sprint race helps as well. Even that was a little bit of luck involved as well with the safety car. But no, for sure, he's got the confidence right, I think, today.
Yeah. And, I can never count out Max. It seems like even when McLaren's car has been touted as being the fastest, and we've seen it for the most part, but it's just amazing that he can pull these rabbits out of the hat right now. And not just in qualifying, but would you be surprised either if Max were to pull out a win?
I wouldn't be surprised, but it will be difficult. But for sure, if the weather condition change, now it's dry, but we've got quite a while to go until the race is finished. So it could start to rain because it came out of nothing yesterday. It came out of nothing this morning when it rained. So if that happens, I think Max has got a good chance. But otherwise, as I said, Max, he hasn't got the best car, but then they've got Supermax, and Supermax comes out on Saturday in qualifying, and that's something which nobody else can do in the moment. So you never know with him, but it's just like the McLaren, they've got 2 there, and then you can play the strategy for one of them.
Yeah, speaking of 2 there, and you've got the Red Bull with now Yuki Tsunoda, and he's actually moving up and bringing some points to the team. It's so important, isn't it? The fact that they've got another point scorer.
Yeah, it's very important, and Yuki needs to Yuki's doing a good job. He's not there a long time, and he's trying to do his best. But obviously, being the teammate of Max, it isn't easy.
Yeah, yeah, that is for sure. Well, Jonathan, did you have something else? Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, that no truer word said. I've actually been impressed with Yuki, to be honest, because I was a big fan of Lawson, obviously, and I felt that he was ready to step up. I really did. And either one. But there's no question that Yuki's kind of put his head down, and he's a very different Yuki than the one we saw back when Gunther was at Haas, and he was just coming into Formula One.
Yeah, Yuki has developed a lot, has matured a lot, and got a lot of confidence. And I think he knows also he has to show how good he is, because with Honda leaving Red Bull, there is no certainty that he's back at Red Bull, and he maybe wants to secure himself a seat somewhere else. And as always in Formula One, if you perform, you get a seat. If you don't perform, it is getting very difficult. So. But it's just like this max factor at Red Bull. To be a driver beside Max, I mean, look at it, how many people didn't make it, to be honest. So I hope Yuki stays calm and doesn't try to overdo it. But only time will tell.
Yeah.
On that subject, Gunther.
Before you're...
On that subject.
Hey, Johnny, we're almost...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Buddy. Let me get the question asked of Gunther, because the Cadillac F1 team, it's been official now for a little while, and they had a big party last night and announcing the new logo and everything, and it appears to be a very, very serious effort. But I just want to get your take on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, General Motors and Cadillac cannot not be serious. I mean, I think a company of that size, needs to be serious about things. Obviously, it's a steep mountain to climb, getting into Formula One, as we all know. Because you don't have the privilege of doing Formula 3, Formula 2, and then Formula 1. You need to get straight to Formula 1. And the only, I think we could be sitting here speculating what is happening, what is not happening. They had an announcement party last night. I didn't get an invitation. Did you get one?
You were lucky. Forced my way into that party.
Okay, yeah, I'm still waiting for the invitation. But anyway, no, I think what they are doing, I don't know, and not many people know except them, obviously. And then we just have to wait. It's not far away. That's what it is. Time is flying, and in 10 months, 9 months, we will see the Cadillac. What is there, and that's the only thing we can say. We could be, as I said, speculating here. Good, bad, I don't know. I just wait what they're doing, and I hope they're doing a good job, because coming into F1 at this time as a company like General Motors, you need to be prepared. I don't think you can wouldn't be a good thing for General Motors come in and not be well prepared.
Yeah, and what about Graham Loudon? How well do you know him?
I know Graham a little bit, not very well. I know him since years. He's been around a long time, like a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, but he worked on the project a long time, and he knows what he's doing. So hopefully he's got everything under control.
Yeah, as a team principal, he's got a lot going on right now. And I did talk to Dave O'Neill, your buddy, about Graham, because I think he worked with him at the Matter team, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
they were together. Yeah.
So Graham Loudon, we're talking about the new team principal Cadillac, and Dave thought highly of him too. Yeah. And we've talked to him a couple times, and he's just drinking from a fire hose right now, which you only know too well. You had the exact same. What advice would you give Graham Loudon right now, having just probably the last team to done this, right? Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not the guy which gives advice to other people who's doing a job, but I think Graham knows exactly what to do. He needs to find the best people he can. That's what it's all about, because none of us can do this on our own. I couldn't do this on my own. I found good people like Dave O'Neill, as we said, a lot of them, and they got it done. His job is to find the right people, not to do it himself, to find the right people which can do the job. I mean, that's the only thing I would say, but for sure he knows that.
All right, we're almost out of time. Last question, talking about Dave O'Neill. How proud are you to have seen Dave now as the boss, the team principal of an IndyCar team? Your old team manager moving up. Pretty amazing.
Very, very happy for Dave. The Dave is a friend. It's good. I mean, always when I go to an IndyCar race, an Indy 500, I go and see Dave. I was in Austin for something else. We went out for dinner. Dave is doing good, and he deserves it. He works hard. He knows what he's doing. He's an honest person, which is very important. And he works hard, and he also looks very, very good after his family, which is always I respect in people.
Gunther Steiner, thank you for coming on Speed City again.
Thank you, Gunther.
Much appreciated. I'll let you get back to your office and
to our office.
That's right.
Because you're staying here as well. Yeah.
Gunther, thank you very much. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Speed City, and we'll be back after these messages. Thank you. By the way, we did get the ESPN feed back up. I don't know what they had wrong. It was down for a few minutes, but all right, we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah, there's not much new. We're getting some likes. It's the usual suspects. I'm trying to see if there's any questions, actually.
Did Gunther happen to mention any of the junior series kids, for lack of a better word, that he's got his eye on? Is he paying much attention to F2?
I didn't ask him. He's now moved on. He's actually got his family here, so he's over there with them here on the other side of the booth still. I think he's got some other obligations he's going to go attend to. But we've got a couple other interviews. How long, Casey? How long is the Towriss?
Kevin
Dan
Kelly
Towriss,
looking for a Williams podium. Well, I will tell you this, Kevin. It looks as though, having read their press release, they feel that they're in the best position to try some strategy because they're right behind each other, as are the McLaren boys. So, yeah, you might see some different choices of tyre. If you go back to last year, you can go, it's basically a one-stopper, medium, stop, hard, or, as in the case of Hamilton last year, you can go hard, medium. And that medium will last probably between 19 and 25.
All right. Casey, I'm sharing that Komatsu with you. Oh, you got it. Okay. All right. Well, I can tell you that it still looks very bright. It's not a direct sunlight like it was a minute ago.
Saw some pretty heavy clouds in front of the grid.
Yeah, I saw that on the screens. I can actually see out of two sides of the stadium, and out of one side, I guess, I don't even know which direction that is, honestly, but it's cloudy and it looks a lot brighter out the other side, so who knows what's going to happen. Casey, I'm going to go to the Oracle read right as we come out of break.
Okay.
I'm George Russell, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
There's a growing expense eating into your company's profits. It's your cloud computing bill. You may have gotten a deal to start, but now the spend is sky high and increasing every year. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance at the same time? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application, including any AI projects, faster and more securely for less. In fact, Oracle has a special promotion where you can cut your cloud bill in half when you switch to OCI. The savings are real. On average, OCI costs 50% less than compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Join Modal, Skydance, Animation, and today's innovative AI tech companies who've upgraded to OCI and saved. Offer only for new U.S. customers with a minimal financial commitment. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/formula. That's oracle.com/formula. All right, gentlemen, it looks like they have got the celebrities. Terry Crew is looking like he is being interviewed on the grid right now.
And he's a regular.
Yeah, he's a regular in Vegas too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and boy, the crowd last night was really fun. Like Gunther and I were talking about that party for Cadillac, that announcement party for their logo. I did see Graham Loudon. I was looking around the crowd, and I got swept into the front door on accident with. I walked up, and this guy was ushering this crowd in, and I got swept into it. It turns out it was either some supermodel or super social media person, and all of a sudden the photographer swarmed off the curb and started taking our photo, and I thought, I better get out of this photo besides ruining it. It was actually hilarious, but that was a crazy, dazzling, swanky party last night. And I think General Motors was saying, yeah, we're not afraid to spend a dime on a party to join Formula One. But it was pretty exciting. They had a Grammy-nominated artist there, so it was really, really pretty amazing.
Swanky. I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely swanky. All right. Hey, you know what? We've got an interview that Chris got with, speaking of Cadillac, with the boss of the entire organization, that is TWG Motorsports, Dan Towriss. And so Casey, if you've got that ready, we will play that because Chris sent that in just a few minutes ago. And let's go out to Dan Towriss.
So I've got Dan Towriss with me, the head of TWG Motorsports, which basically, to everyone else listening, means the head of the Cadillac Formula One team that's coming in next year. Dan, thanks for being with us here in Miami. How excited are you to know that this time next year, you're going to be on this grid?
It's incredible to think about. I think we'll be a little busier next year and, probably a bit more nerves, but that's really why we wanted to come out and, and do the logo launch that we had, last night, was to really, kind of set the stage and start to show people what Cadillac Formula One is going to be about.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive event you did downtown in South Beach. It was like full of so many people, glitzy party. Terry Crews hosting as well. Mark Royce was there. But was that the kind of line in the sand to say, hey, here's our identity. From here, we move forward as a real Formula One team that people can invest in?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have known Cadillac's coming, but, well, what does that mean? What is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? A lot of work has gone into that. And so last night really was that, that launch, telling the whole world what that's going to look and feel like. I think some people wanted to see a driver announcement. Some people wanted to see a livery announcement. But it's like, hey, we're not going to send everything out on one day. There's a lot of build-up between now and Melbourne in 2026. And so, there's more to come. Hang on, the livery's coming. Drivers will be coming. Don't put me on the clock. But, a lot of things are going to be happening there. But it was great just to kind of show the attitude, look and feel, what you can expect from from Cadillac Formula One, and to see all the GM brass, show up, TWG Global brass show up, the headquarters in Indianapolis and the power unit plant, that's going to be in the Charlotte area, and then what we're building out in Silverstone as well, which is in addition, to that 600,000 square feet. So, to be operating out of those three locations, is fabulous, and so there's just so much work going into everything that we're doing.
Well, it's not like you haven't been busy anyway with other motorsport projects, with IndyCar and NASCAR. You guys are really embedded everywhere in the motorsport world. But can I take you back 12 months? It's a bit of a personal question, but 12 months ago, I imagine the welcome was slightly different trying to come into a Grand Prix weekend. Like, how hard did it feel to finally get over the line?
Yeah, no, it was very difficult to get over the line. But I think from where we stand today, our project, our effort, the Cadillac Formula One team is better off, having gone through that. Formula One, it shouldn't be easy. This is the pinnacle of motorsports. And believe me, they didn't make it easy. And I think for us, there were times, it was frustrating. It was like a moving goalpost. Like you would do the work, you got to a place, and then it was like, and here's another thing you need to do. And so, but we did it. We did it in spades. We got in. But I will say, now that we're in, we've been very welcomed by Formula One. The support from the FIA, the welcome from the other teams has been fabulous. So, as we like to say, our work continues at pace, and we're getting ready for 2026.
Well, just while you do get ready, I'm sure North American fans don't need another reason to follow the team, but you are speaking to all of North America here right now, so why should fans here be so excited about the Cadillac project?
I think just, to see what a new team in Formula One can do. I think this is the time where it's really going to showcase American innovation, American ingenuity in the car with GM's involvement. When you think of what's happening in Detroit, what's going to be built there in Indianapolis, Charlotte, from that standpoint, this is a team fans can really get behind. Every single person I've talked to has a Cadillac story in some way. Their grandfather, their father, their mothers, their car. Somebody's, there's an attachment to the brand, and so they're like, I'm a fan of Formula One. Now I'm a fan of Cadillac, Formula One. We don't want to let those fans down, and so every effort is going in to exceed expectations and try to deliver. But make no mistake, Formula One's very difficult. We know that, and so we're going to be bringing all that we have to do the best that we can.
It's so impressive what you guys are building and the effort you're putting in. Is it also a show of faith in where you see the sport heading over here? Because we had the confirmation that we'll be in Miami till 2041 already, 3 races in the US. Do you feel that there's still a lot of growth in the future here in America?
I think there's massive growth for Formula One in the U.S. I think motorsports, as a whole is going up from that standpoint. It's becoming more mainstream. There are new fan bases, that are developing, just out of their interest in Formula One for a variety of reasons. the 3 races that are here are absolutely fabulous. And so to see Miami extended for, into 2041 is great. We love this race. Every year it gets better and better, bigger and bigger, and can't wait to see what the future holds.
Well, just finally, then I'm going to ask you for one thing about what the future holds. It's a direct one today. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you think's winning?
So far, I've been going for Max. Obviously McLaren looks strong. Lando and Oscar were, fantastic. Getting up through this. But we'll see in getting through the race. Where that experience comes in, the grit. He's managed to claw back and surprise. Here or there. It's kind of funny. Like a year ago, if someone said they think Max is going to win, it's almost an eye roll, right? It'd be like, well, yeah, of course. Obviously, he won. 20 plus races. In a single season. That's not the case now. There's much stiffer competition from that standpoint, and McLarens have been the car to beat, week in and week out. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Max today.
Well, you can include your cars in it next year, but Dan, thanks very much for your time.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Great stuff.
Yeah, well done.
Man, how exciting is this, guys, to have this? It's really starting to feel real, isn't it?
Yeah, no question. Has anybody talked to them about how they're going to utilize the brand to do a crossover between either a potentially new car or a special edition car for the road that has a sort of F1?
That is a great question. I don't know. And me, I keep my finger on the pulse of road cars.
But you figured they'd badge something, wouldn't you?
Exactly. I mean, look, the obvious one is the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, which is their super sedan. It's 670 horsepower sedan. Some sort of F1 badging on that, maybe an F1 edition, right, with some special interior or something, but
that's
something like that.
Ferrari and Mercedes do that very well. Years ago, I had a cup of coffee with a marketing guy for one of the teams. I won't say which one, but he was desperately upset with his car maker because they weren't making that connection. He said, you walk into a dealership for this brand and you don't see any connection to their Formula One effort. And you'd think they would. They didn't have a special car. It was, it was a classic example of mistaken marketing, I guess you'd say. You really need to have a flagship street car to go with your racing effort.
Yeah.
It's a good brand. Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
All right, guys, let's break early for this break, because when we come back, I want Varsha to do our grid and get everybody ready for the race, because we're now about 17 minutes from the start of the Miami Grand Prix, and we'll be back right after these messages.
All right, let's get back to the internet. Jesse Messer, I think that's how I would say it, has got a question for Bob. What are your thoughts, Bob, on the current Ferrari struggles and the dynamic with Fred, Lewis, and Charles?
I think they have a great relationship among the three of them. I think Fred Vasseur is a master of the most critical skill of a team principal, which is to spread oil on the waters, keep everybody calm, pointed in the same direction, no arguments, no conflicts, no clashes. As for what Ferrari's problem is right now, I don't know. I've been saying for a while now, since Ferrari's factory cars, and I'm going to say this in my grid, as well as the Saubers and the Haas cars, are all seemingly struggling using a Ferrari powertrain. I'm going to say that's where Ferrari's problem lies. They need to work on that powertrain, which is largely homologated now, so it's not going to be easy to do. But they've got to do something, and I think that's their problem.
Good answer. It's national anthem just being belted out at Miami, and at the moment, no rain, but definitely in the area.
It looks good here. Yeah, it's cloudy, and it looks about the same. Honestly, I can't. The stadium is. I can't see out the hole because I'm too close to the awning here, but I can see a little bit. But it's very, 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 very cloudy, and there's no sun coming through from any direction.
Can I tell you something?
Oh, look at the flyover! Wow, some sort of fighter jet. Looks amazing. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Well, when Jonathan said they're about to sing the national anthem, maybe I've been doing Formula One too long, because I was about to blurt out, what's the anthem? What's the name of their anthem?
You hear that? You probably didn't hear the flyover, but I could hear it here. It's pretty cool.
No, I've got all my volumes.
There we go. I see it now. Yeah, that says
Here we go.
F-35.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help cut your cloud bill in half if you act by May 31st. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/formula. All right, Mr. Bob Varsha, you want to go through the grid and get everybody ready for this Miami Grand Prix?
I do indeed. That was an F-22 doing the flyover, by the way.
Nice.
Okay, let's line them up. Here we go. Row 1, Max Verstappen on pole for Red Bull, his 43rd career pole, his third in the 6th Grand Prix this year, capping a week in which he became a father for the first time and finished last in the Saturday sprint due to a penalty for a pit infraction. P2, Lando Norris for McLaren, just 65 thousandths of a second behind the Red Bull. Still not driving his best, says Lando, despite leading a Papaya 1-2 sweep in Saturday's sprint. Row 2, P3, Kimi Antonelli and Mercedes. What about this kid? Just 2 thousandths of a second behind Norris. The 18-year-old Italian took pole for the sprint, breaking Sebastian Vettel's series record for youngest pole winner in Formula One by 2.5 years. P4, Oscar Piastri for McLaren, second on the sprint grid and on the podium, thanks to a bold dive down the inside on Antonelli in turn 1. The championship leader lost a point to Norris in the standings and leads by just 9 over his teammate. Row 3, P5, George Russell in the Mercedes. Excuse me. Outqualified not once, but twice here in Miami by his teenage teammate. Russell has complained all weekend about an overall lack of grip, despite a 4th place finish in the sprint. P6, Carlos Sainz for Williams, crashed in the sprint after taking too much curb in a corner and losing control. But the Spaniard outran his teammate Alex Albon in Grand Prix qualifying for the 3rd straight race. Row 4, P7, the aforementioned Alex Albon, just 1/10 of a second behind his teammate after missing out on a point from the sprint due to a 5-second penalty. P8, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, lockups, wall scrapes, just generally messy laps prevented Leclerc from landing higher up the grid in a dismal qualifying session for the Scuderia. P9, Esteban Ocon for Haas. No points for either Haas machine in the sprint, with Ocon finishing 11th and Ollie Behrman 14th, but Ocon has a chance starting from inside row 5 for the big race. P10, Yuki Tsunoda for Red Bull. He was denied a quick lap in sprint quali due to time constraints. Tsunoda was the first car to stop for soft slicks on a drying track in the sprint and passed his way all the way up to 6th. Row 6, P11, Isaac Hadjar, Racing Bulls. Missed Q3 by just 28 thousandths of a second and finished 10th in the sprint. No points for that, but this rookie is a threat in the midfield. P12, Lewis Hamilton for Ferrari, still having Jekyll and Hyde performances on sprint weekends. A switch to soft tires turned the Ferrari into a rocket ship in the sprint, carrying Hamilton from deep in the field to the podium in 3rd place. Yet the car in qualifying trim seems a mystery to the 7-time champion. Row 7, P13, Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber, beginning to emerge from the shadow of veteran teammate Nico Hülkenberg. The Brazilian finished well behind the Hulk in the sprint, but outran him in Grand Prix qualifying. P14, Jack Doohan in the Alpine, visibly outraged with his team's timing in sprint qualifying, in which he failed to get a fast lap when the track was at its best. Doohan came back to reach Q2 and out-qualify teammate Pierre Gasly. Row 8, Liam Lawson for Racing Bulls, finished 13th in the sprint, but could have done better had he not been hit with a 5-second penalty for tipping Fernando Alonso into a spin. P16, Nico Hülkenberg and the other Haas, or the first Haas, another normally quick qualifier who seemed to suffer in the changing grip levels. The Saubers, Haas cars, and the factory Ferraris all used the same power units, and mediocre results seem to suggest issues in Maranello. Row 9, Fernando Alonso, P17 in the Aston Martin, spun out of the sprint by Lawson, as I mentioned, and unable to muster any performance again in qualifying. Updates for the Astons cannot come soon enough. Watch for that 2 weeks from now in Imola. P18 is Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, yet another contestant subject to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Shakespeare wrote. 5th in the sprint to continue as the only point scorer in a team that includes Fernando Alonso. But the dice came up snake eyes for the Canadian yet again in time trials. Row 10, all alone, is Oliver Behrman in the second Haas, starting caboose on the field for the second time in the last 3 Grand Prix. after seeing his sprint ruined by a 5-second penalty for an unsafe pit release. Starting from the pit lane, Pierre Gasly for Alpine, another driver who has success when he's not being humiliated. What's that in English? Humiliated. A Grand Prix winner and a regular top 10 finisher in qualifying. We'll start from the pit lane after a suspension change in Parc Fermé. And that's that.
Jonathan, this is exactly why we have Bob Varsha. He's quoting Shakespeare in the middle of walking us through the Formula One grid. It couldn't be more, it's elevating the show. So thank you.
As is absolutely appropriate. Something is the gravitas of the Miami Grand Prix suits a little bit of spoke shave, as we call him.
You community college graduates.
We have another interview that I want to get in because Chris Medland caught up with the Haas F1, the new team boss, Ayao Komatsu, and this was probably about an hour and a half ago as he was getting ready. And so let's hear from Ayao Komatsu.
Ayo, thanks for joining us pre-race here in the Hard Rock Stadium, which is quite a cool setting for a paddock, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think this is the best paddock, Actually, when I was a kid, I used to support Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino, when he was a quarterback. So it's a bit insane that I'm actually here working inside this Hard Rock Stadium with Dan Marino's name is just back here.
I was going to say, it's on the stands, but you said you used to support them. Do you not anymore?
No, because I don't follow American football anymore. So when I was a kid, when it was a 49ers with Joe Montana and Dan Marino with Dolphins, I was always Dolphin supporter.
Amazing, that's so cool. Yeah, what a venue then to race at, and a venue to go well at, because you're starting from P9 with Esteban Ocon today. How pleased are you that the team managed to get a car into Q3 yesterday?
Oh, very, very pleased. As you can see how tight the midfield is. In fact, Ferraris were around us. We're just behind Leclerc, and in the Q2 we're just in front of Hamilton as well. So whole that pack is so competitive. So it's I'm really happy that Esteban's up in Q2 to put us into Q3. I wasn't expecting that after Q1, to be honest. On the Friday we had a good feeling in the car, but Q1 we went great. But Q2 we managed to improve it, so that was great. So from P9, of course, we'll do everything we can to score points.
Well, flip side, the other card shows just how tough it is if you don't get it all right. Ollie Behrman starting from 20th again, but in the sprint he turned that into 8th place on the road. What can he do from there?
It's very difficult to predict. Of course, we got the weather in the equation as well. So, but if he can come from P20 to P8 in 100 kilometers, what can he do in 300 kilometers? But no, let's just be realistic. As any other races, Ollie is a great racer. So we just need to make sure we take opportunities, and I have no doubt about his racecraft. So again, same as Bahrain, just trying to overtake, look forward, just trying to overtake as many cars as possible.
Oh, we'll enjoy watching that part. But what about Esteban then from 9th place? Is it a case of, I was saying yesterday on F1 TV actually, that maybe it will help you that the cars ahead might not hold you up as such and you can run at your own pace, or would you prefer to have a bit of action ahead of you?
No, it's a race, right? So again, I think our race pace, the little bit we saw in FP1, I think we are decent. So we'll see what other people's paces are, but we are completely open-minded. Our focus is not other people, just do our best and then seize the opportunities. And if we can do that, and then I'm sure we can score points.
Well, I'm going to ask the final question. It's a dangerous one because it involves the weather. What's your prediction for the weather, and do you want a wet or a dry race?
If I'm honest, I actually welcome wet weather because, as you can see, in terms of top speed, we're not the quickest. Williams got amazing top speed. So for us, again, with having Audi and P20 as well, normally if you qualify top 10, you just want a boring dry race. But I think at this circuit, if we get it right, I think we are more competitive. So I don't mind if it's wet, but I don't think it's going to be wet to start off with. But at some point in the race, it may come. So again, with Audi, that's a focus really. If that turns up, we really got to make a right call at the right timing to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be busy on the pit wall for you. Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Ayao Komatsu, and I want to play a clip because Oliver Behrman starting in 20th position. This is not a long clip, by the way, and that's a hint at his attitude in this. Let's hear from Haas F1 driver Ollie Behrman.
Didn't have the feeling too messy of a lap. I know obviously there was wet weather this morning. That would have changed how the feeling of the track would have felt. But in terms of anything you made changes wise to the car, is it mixed?
No, honestly, we didn't change much. I was pretty happy with the car. It just was a messy session overall.
Hard luck.
You know, when I was listening to that clip, you know, they send those to us. F1 sends those clips to us, and they don't put any names on them. You know, they just assume that you can understand and know who it was. I didn't even recognize Ali for the first few seconds because he was so downbeat, and he has been so quite the opposite so many times. But anyway, it's a tough start for them. But Jonathan, we only got about 3.5, 4 minutes left. Any thoughts to wrap us up here?
Yeah, I think for the first time in a while, we're going to see some genuine strategies here by Williams, 6th and 7th together. Could there be a sort of like you take a short first stint, I'll go long, and maybe one starts on the medium, one starts on the hard. And that's true also perhaps of Mercedes, and it could be true also of McLaren. What I'm getting at is that you've got for the first time, we've got sort of pairings. Verstappen obviously is out on his own. Tsunoda's still down in 10th position. I'm going to be very interested in that opening lap and seeing where the tyres are because, with the potential rain, I think more people are going to go on the medium to start with.
Yeah. What about you, Bob? Any final thoughts before we go to our predictions?
There was something that Ayao Komatsu said that stuck in my brain, and I can't remember what it was. But let's say this. Classic temporary circuit, walls right at the driver's elbows, very tricky curbs. This is going to be a tough one to pick. But if I had to, and I am, I'm going to say Max Verstappen wins the race. Oscar Piastri finishes second. Kimi Antonelli finishes third and picks up another record for the youngest driver in Formula One to do anything in particular.
Hey,
okay.
Well, that's it. I like that. I like it.
Okay.
What do you got, Greeny?
Yep. I'm going for a Norris win, followed by Verstappen and Antonelli.
Oh, I love it. Both of you guys putting Antonelli on the podium. I am... you know what? I'll go with Gunther Steiner's pick. I'm going to go with Lando Norris, and followed by Oscar Piastri. And you know what? I'm going to put Antonelli on my podium also, and all three of us put Antonelli on the podium.
We'll all be out in
but
the
I'll
first
just
corner.
give you guys one final.
That's what I'm factoring in. Somebody's going out at the first corner.
All right, guys, we just got about 30 seconds left. I was just going to tell you all the paddock is completely empty now. Everyone has found their seat. They're all in front of a screen or listening to a radio. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to stay right here for the race. And, of course, we have our post-race show immediately after the race. So stick with us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Bob Varsha, Jonathan Green, our guest, Gunther Steiner. Thanks, everyone, and we will talk to you after the race.